The concentration camps of the Third Reich were one of the greatest horrors in the history of mankind. The best known of all was Auschwitz, located 43 kilometers west of Krakow, Poland. It opened its doors in 1940 and closed in 1945, when it was liberated by the Soviet Army. During those years, millions of people were subjected to the most terrible suffering, and massive killings were carried out that, even today, continue to amaze for their extreme cruelty. However, there are dozens of stories from this killing center that most people don't know about. Today, in this new episode of Military History, we are going to tell you 8 things you didn't know about Auschwitz. 1. There were a few cases of prisoners who managed to escape from Auschwitz. The most amazing escape was that of Kazimierz Piechowski, who had been arrested for trying to join the Polish resistance. In 1942, together with 2 other companions, he devised a risky plan to escape from the concentration camp. They stole weapons and SS uniforms, and posed as Nazi officers. Without arousing suspicion, they got into a car and drove to the exit. When a soldier approached to see who was inside the vehicle, Kazimierz barked orders at him in German, telling him that he was his superior and that they had to make way for them. Incredible as it may seem, they opened the door for them without asking questions, and in this way, the group managed to escape from hell. 2. There was a man who survived Auschwitz thanks to his boxing skills. Szalamo Arauch, a Greek Jew who was transferred to the concentration camp with his whole family in 1943. At that time, SS officers were looking for prisoners who knew how to fight to mount combat championships for mere entertainment. Szalamo was a professional boxer, and the Nazis forced him to fight 3 times a week against other inmates. Thus, he began to fight literally for his life. The losers were shot or sent to the gas chambers, and the winners received extra food rations as a reward. According to Arauch, while in Auschwitz he participated in more than 200 fights, and was victorious in all but 2, which ended in a draw. In 1945, he was released from the extermination center, but sadly, his family perished there. 3. Every time someone managed to escape from Auschwitz, the concentration camp officials flew into a rage. They considered that this was a stain on their honor, and that an exemplary punishment had to be imposed so that the other prisoners would not try the same. The chilling rule of the Nazis marked that, for each person who escaped, 10 would be killed. Franciszek Gajonik, a survivor, remembers it this way. One night, at the guard's roll call, one of our companions did not respond. They immediately sounded the alarm. Security officers deployed all their devices. Patrols came out and scoured the surroundings. That night we returned to the barracks terrified. We knew what awaited us. Later, an SS colonel announced, 10 of you will be executed. The next morning, I was one of the 10 chosen by the colonel. Franciszek was sent to a cell to die of hunger and thirst, but he survived and, at the end of the war, was released from Auschwitz. 4. In 1947, when the Auschwitz crimes were tried, only one member of the SS was declared innocent. Hans Munch, known to the prisoners as the Good Man. He worked in the concentration camp between 1943 and 1945, as part of the scientific team of the infamous Dr. Joseph Mengele. During his stay, Munch refused to participate in the selection of inmates to be sent to the gas chambers, and did everything he could to delay their deaths. He considered the treatment of inmates to be inhumane, and tried to improve the quality of food rations for prisoners. When the war ended and he was put on trial, many Auschwitz survivors testified in favor of Munch, since he was the only one who treated them with dignity. As a result of this, the court found him innocent and released him from all guilt. 5. Auschwitz prisoners were subjected to grotesque scientific experiments, the purpose of which was to test the negative effects of different chemical substances. What few know is that the pharmaceutical company Bayer was involved in these activities. The company had been one of the largest donors of money in the political campaign of Adolf Hitler, and then, during the rule of the Führer, received large profits in return. One of them was access to Auschwitz inmates, who were transferred from the concentration camp to one of Bayer's plants, where they were used as guinea pigs. Various pills, powders, and vaccines that were still under development were tested on their bodies, resulting in hundreds of them becoming seriously ill and, in the worst cases, dying. 6. Although it seems incredible, in Auschwitz there was a story of forbidden love between a jailer and a prisoner. Despite Nazi laws prohibiting relations between Germans and Jews, an SS guard, Franz Wunsch, fell in love with Helena Citronova, one of the concentration camp inmates. It all started when she was forced to sing on the occasion of Franz's birthday. Hearing her voice, he was completely seduced, and from then on he took her under her protection. He sent her extra food rations and notes in which he declared his love for her. She received the courtship coldly, but years later, in an interview, she claimed that she came to truly love him after Franz saved her sister from the gas chambers. When the Allies approached Auschwitz, Helena had to leave the camp in one of the famous death marches, and for 25 years they did not see each other again. In 1972, when Franz was tried for the killing center crimes, Helena testified on his behalf. And her testimony helped him evade sentence. 7. One of the most lurid tasks in Auschwitz was that of the Sunder Commando, a group of prisoners who were tasked with burning the bodies of victims killed in the gas chambers. In late 1944, with Germany's defeat drawing near, members of the Sunder Commando heard rumors that there were plans to kill them. For this reason, they devised an escape plan and stole kitchen utensils to make knives and axes. The revolt broke out on October 7, 1944. They killed 3 guards and destroyed the Auschwitz crematorium with dynamite that they stole from the soldiers. Although several hundred prisoners managed to escape, most were recaptured and shot in front of the other inmates to frighten them so that no one would try to flee once again. 8. Until 1943, the director of Auschwitz was the SS officer Rudolph Haas. He was fully committed to Nazi ideals, unhesitatingly obeying orders to exterminate Jews, Poles, and prisoners of war. When the war ended and the leaders of the Third Reich were tried in Nuremberg, Haas was accused of killing 3.5 million people in the gas chambers. He said that these charges were false, that there had only been 2.5 million, and that the rest died of cold and hunger. He was sentenced to death and executed by hanging on April 16, 1947 at Auschwitz, the very place where he committed his crimes. Which of these stories do you find the most surprising? Leave your answer in the comment box below and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to learn about many more military events that left their mark on history. Thank you very much for joining us until the end. And stay tuned for our next video.